Hello, everybody, and welcome to the third episode of Checkered Flag Chats. In this episode, we will be talking about that amazing Silverstone Grand Prix that we just witnessed. With a Lando podium, Max Verstappen obviously came first, but if we ignore him, it would have been a double McLaren podium and Lewis Hamilton in second place, if you were to say that at the beginning of the season, you would not believe me. So, how did we get to this point? How did the other teams do so badly? And how is Sergio Perez still only finishing sixth? I think he finished. All this and more will be discussed in today's episode. Okay, so to begin, the race started, and the moment it started, it looked like Lando Norris had got a better start. And what do you know? He did get a better start. He flew ahead of Max Verstappen. Then, Oscar Piastri also nearly came alongside him. However, as it always happens, Max's tyres heated up and he was able to overtake Lando Norris eventually. But this was probably one of the first times this season where Lando Norris, or any driver, has been able to overtake Max when Max starts on pole. This is a very strong sign for the scenes of this season. Along with this, during that start, Lewis Hamilton went off at the beginning of the lap, sending him back down to ninth. At this point, because it seems like no matter what, Lewis will always do well at Silverstone. So I was thinking, maybe Lewis isn't going to do well. However, he finished third place on the podium. But that will come later on in the race review. For now, we are just reviewing the start. What also happened in the start is, not much actually, but many of the teams were saying that rain is incoming. So this, of course, got me very excited while I was watching the race. However, it soon came to fruition that maybe all the drivers were just experiencing a bit of sweat in the helmets. But what happened later in the race? Soon, as it had to happen, Max Verstappen did overtake Lando. And then, for a while, we switched off to the Ashes because the race was looking rather boring. But then we switched back, and the Haas of Kevin Magnussen had just stopped on the track. I instantly said, that's a safety car. But unfortunately, they brought out the virtual safety car. This meaning that the drivers could now pit and only lose 9 seconds. So this meant that the drivers such as Oscar Piastri, which was a big one, Sergio Perez, and even Carlos Sainz, I think, all negatively got affected by this because they pitted before the virtual safety car. The one driver who greatly benefited from this was in fact Lewis Hamilton. He started off the lap by going off the road into P9. But then, somehow, as I said before, Lewis just has some special spell, it seems, at Silverstone, and he was able to finish on the podium after being P9 on the first lap. It may have been a bit of luck, but of course, Lewis is a good driver, so maybe he didn't know what he was doing. Okay, well, that pretty much sums up how the race went. But now, let's look at each of the drivers and what they actually did during the race. So, Max Verstappen. Obviously, when we saw that he went off when he was overtaken by Lando Norris, I was thinking, and so all the people watching with me, maybe Lando Norris can actually win this race. But, of course, Max Verstappen is Max Verstappen. He leaves nothing on the table, and you could just feel that although Lando was keeping a fair way away from Max, eventually Max would catch him. And what do you know? Max switched the afterburners and he was easily able to catch up to Lando Norris. But one thing I do want to talk about Max Verstappen is how after the race he was complaining about the tyres while he won that race by 3 seconds. This truly is a champion, not even in the making anymore. He is the definition of a true champion and just such a stone cold driver. And it's no wonder he's won 4 champions in a row. 3 champions. Maybe I'm predicting something there. 4 champions in a row? I could see it. However, in second place, Lando Norris. Wow. So, when McLaren brought in these upgrades, Mika Hakkinen said that they will be competing with Red Bull, and they will be close to the front. Everyone was absolutely clowning on Mika Hakkinen. However, if you look at it now, Mika Hakkinen couldn't have been further away from being right or wrong. Yeah. All I'm trying to say is that Mika Hakkinen was in fact right. That McLaren went from finishing, obviously P4 in the race of Austria with Lando Norris, but now the unupgraded car of Oscar Piastri finished all the way down in P16. But now they've got the full upgrades, and Lando Norris looked like he could have won that race even, however Max is inevitable, and it looked like he maybe could have even gotten pole. So I think everyone needs to apologise to Mika Hakkinen, because wow, those upgrades have definitely done something for McLaren, and has maybe even put them where they should be. So in third place it was Lewis Hamilton. And as I've said before, maybe Lewis did get a bit lucky. However, there is no denying that this was a good drive from him, and I don't really have much to say. He obviously went onto the softs for the last stint of the race, and this turned out to be the wrong choice. Which, yeah, that's good, because I wanted Lando, and I'm sure most people, even though it was a Silverstone race, were calling for Lando Norris, because, yeah, he's a bit of an underdog when it comes to that. And yeah, that's pretty much Lewis wrapped up. He had the softs on, which turned out to be the worst tyres to go racing. But that also points out Max Verstappen was on the softs, and he was able to gain 3 seconds in the last 6 laps, I think it was, meaning that that Red Bull is utterly insanely fast. However, let's move on to fourth place, Oscar Piastri. I was heartbroken when I saw that Oscar Piastri got so unlucky with that safety car. However, if he had gotten that podium in his debut season, it would have been amazing for him and the driver. But unfortunately, he was unable to, and this put him at P4. But with this P4 and with Norris's P2, McLaren were able to gain 30 points. This is more than the past 9 races that they've got. So that they more than doubled their points tally, which is absolutely amazing for McLaren. So yes, Piastri, I've been saying this for a while. I think Piastri will be a world champion one day. I've been saying this since last year. I remember I told one of my cousins, because obviously he won that F2 championship in 2021, I think. But then Zhou Guanyu came up, which no disrespect to Zhou, he's a great driver. But I did feel like Oscar deserved to come up, and he didn't. Now he's finally come up, and everyone is seeing just how good of a driver he is. In P5, oh yeah, that's everything for Oscar and Lando Norris. Just to summarize McLaren, wow, these upgrades are doing something, and hopefully they can stay here. But obviously I would want Ferrari to catch up, but we'll come to that later. P5, George Russell. Not much to say here. George is not my favourite character, but yeah, well done George, solid P5. Maybe you're a bit disappointed that Lewis got ahead of you and that you got a bit of a worse strategy. But yeah, unlucky George, not much to say. Yeah, well done on racing. Sergio Perez, P6. What is happening to Sergio Perez? He is in he is in the fastest car by a mile in that Red Bull. Yet he has been able to make it to Q3 for 6 races in a row, I think. Or is it 5? I'm not sure. Out of those 6 races, he was only able to get on a podium once. But then, if we look at Max Verstappen, he's able to start P12 and easily come up to second. And back when Perez was winning, he was able to challenge Perez for that win. But now Perez, in that same car, is qualifying 12th constantly, not even like Max's one mistake. Perez is qualifying there constantly, and he's unable to catch up to Max. This has got to stop for Perez, because right now it may be good, but sooner or later, teams will start catching up, and they'll need Perez to be performing. But yeah, for now, Perez really just has nothing to really worry about, unless, of course, maybe he does. As we know, Helmut Marko is a very extreme person, and if he sees, well, he has seen, that Perez is not performing, soon he will have to take action. So to sum up Red Bull's weekend, I would say normal, because Verstappen finishing first, normal, Perez flopping in qualifying and kind of making it back in the race, completely normal. So yes, Red Bull's weekend was indeed completely normal. However, a weekend that wasn't normal was Fernando Alonso's. Well, maybe it was normal, but we've just grown too accustomed to seeing that Aston Martin finishing in the top 5. Fernando Alonso finished P7, which is actually quite a good result for that Aston Martin, considering he started 9th. However, I do think that he may have got a bit lucky. I'm not actually too sure. But Fernando Alonso, I'm sure he must be thinking about those past days where he was finishing in the podiums and just wanting to go back. But what I think happened was Aston Martin, for those first 3, 4, 5 races when they were in contention with the Red Bull, spent all of their money on developments, and now they are unable to develop. While other teams, such as McLaren and Mercedes, are able to somehow, well, not even somehow, because they've obviously got a lot of money, because when they started off the season, those cars were absolute tractors. But now, Alonso started off the season with such a fast car, that now obviously they have no money to develop. So Alonso naturally finishes P7 in a car that is not even quick on the straight anymore, which used to be their strong point. So P8, Alex Albon. I was almost calling for Albon to finish P9, because in my predictions I said that he would finish P9 while everyone was rooting him for a podium. But P8, I found that even better for Albon, and I'm sure he would too. That's double the points from P9, and wow, that Williams is something special. They used to be in contention with the teams such as Haas, and AlphaTauri. But now the teams down there is AlphaTauri, Haas, and Alfa Romeo. What has happened to them? But we'll talk about that later. So yes, it's obvious that that big investment group is doing wonders for Williams, which is absolutely amazing, because this Williams should be finishing even higher than this, considering such rich history. Yes, so Alex Albon, what a weekend. I saw rumours that he might go to Ferrari. Just a quick little bit here. I don't think that is the best decision for Alex Albon. Not because he's a bad driver. Obviously, he's proving now that he's such a good driver. He finished ahead of the 2 Ferraris. But as we saw in Red Bull, it's obvious that he can't handle the big teams. So maybe if Williams can grow and he can grow with the team, he will be doing well one day when Williams are winning races, because I do believe that they will be. So yes, I think for Albon's career, he should stay in that Williams. Along with this, I think that Sainz should stay in Ferrari, because I love Sainz. But we won't talk about that yet. P9 and P10, Ferrari. Charles Leclerc 9th, Sainz 10. What is going on with Ferrari? How are they finishing P9 and 10? Whew. I found this ridiculous. I was wearing my Ferrari shirt and it was just embarrassing, because not even embarrassing that people are saying, haha, finishing 9th and 10th. No one even notices them anymore, because teams like McLaren, who are finishing 20th at the beginning of the season, are finishing 2nd and 4th. So Ferrari, you guys really need to do something. To be honest, I don't even know what happened this race for you guys. I saw Leclerc went into hards, which, interesting choice, didn't pay out at the end. But Sainz was also on hards, and it was ridiculous. I was watching that race, and he was just being overtaken left, right, and centre. I was thinking Sainz must have had an engine problem. I'm surprised he even finished in the points, because, Sargent could have finished in the points. Because Sainz looked so slow, and I don't know, I thought he was retiring from the race, but it seems those hard tyres had just fallen off completely. So yes, that is Ferrari, P9 and 10. Now, the last 10 positions, they're a bit boring, but I'll go through it quickly. P11, Logan Sargent. Wow, great performance by him. I am a Sainz fan, so I wasn't really rooting that Logan catch up to Sainz, but if he did, I would of course be happy for Logan. He's quite a nice guy, I think, and he would deserve it. P12, Valtteri Bottas. Oh yeah, to summarize Williams' weekend, amazing. That Williams is definitely going places. P12, Valtteri Bottas. What has happened to Bottas? He's been a ghost. You don't hear about him anymore. It's ridiculous. So yes, P12, Valtteri Bottas, just a normal place for him to finish. P13, Nico Hülkenberg, made the most out of a terrible Haas car. I personally think Nico Hülkenberg should be in a better team. It's obvious that he can't get those podiums, but he can constantly score points in a better car. So maybe imagine Albon and Hülkenberg in that Williams. It would be amazing. P14, Lance Stroll. Lance needs to get out of the sport. What is he doing? P14 in an Aston Martin, which may be slowing down, but that's no excuse for him to be finishing behind Bottas, and behind Logan Sargent, a Williams. It's ridiculous. Lance Stroll, what is he still doing in the sport? Sorry, went on a bit of a rampage there. P15, Zhou Guanyu did the best with a car. But yeah, Bottas outperformed him, so people were suggesting that maybe Zhou can become the first driver in that team. But with Valtteri's experience, I do think that he will, for quite a while, be that first driver. Yuki Tsunoda, P16, and De Vries. Oh wait, sorry. So to summarize Aston Martin's weekend, just shocking, not shockingly bad, just shocking how bad they've gotten. They're still getting good points, but yes, just shocking how bad they've gotten. Then to summarize Alfa Romeo's weekend, just normal, I would say. Last year they were competing P5, P6, and they've just completely fallen off the rails. So yeah, normal for the Alfa Romeo to not even finish in the points. It's unbelievable. Then P16, P70, Tsunoda and De Vries. Now, I would just like to talk quickly. What has happened with that AlphaTauri? It seems like I'm saying this for every team, but no, I'm not, because McLaren's improved, Red Bull's improved, and Mercedes improved. Other than that, all of the cars have just got so bad, and I don't know what it is. AlphaTauri, with Gasly in it at one point, they were able to do so well. But yeah, AlphaTauri, I'm not sure what's happened. They've completely fallen off. P16 and P17, I can't even say anything bad about the drivers because, well, what can they do in such a bad car? But then, P18, Pierre Gasly, he didn't finish. What was it? I think just a puncture, yeah. That was actually ridiculous. That was Lance Stroll. What is Stroll doing in Formula 1? Yo. And we were strolled, guys. We were strolled. Did you notice that? We were busy watching an intense battle, and then Lance Stroll's battle just appears up when we missed out on that intense battle. What is Stroll doing in Formula 1? Sorry for the hate. It's a bit late, so this podcast is in fact going off the rails a bit. But P18, Pierre Gasly. Yeah, not much we can say. Not finished. Magnussen, Ocon. Yeah, not much we can say, because they all failed. So that is to wrap up quite a eventful Silverstone Grand Prix, I have to say. Probably one of the better races of the season. Maybe out of the 10, I would rank it top 3. Just above it, Australia. Maybe Australia 1 and that's 1, 2. And then the other 8 have been pretty boring. Or maybe this season so far I would have ranked the races Australia 1, that Austrian sprint number 2, what a sprint that was, and now this race number 3. However, guys, that is everything for today. I'm sorry, I'm not sure what's happened with my voice. It's gotten a bit hoarse. But I will see you guys soon with another video idea. There's not a race for 2 weeks, so I will have to think of a few things, but I'm sure I can. Thank you for listening to Checkered Flag Chats, and I'll see you in the next one. Boy! Oh yeah, I would rate that race 9 out of 10. Not 3 out of 10 for out of the races, but 9 out of 10 as in like on the spectrum, you know? Okay, thank you everyone for listening. See you in the next one. Boy!